So it is week 2 now. It's day 15, so I've been at this for 2 weeks now. And I started at 174.9, and I don't remember what I ended the first week at, but this morning I was 168.4, so I've lost 6.5 pounds in that amount of time. And that's probably about what I expected to happen. I, of course, wish it would be more, but that's kind of what I have had in the past. I actually keep looking up my entries from last year on MyFitnessPal of what my weight was, and so I'm right on track. So if I can keep it up, then by April I should be like 152, which is, what happened last year. So, and which is where I'm happy with. My goal is 148, but 152 would be fine too. That's one meal, so I'm not worried as much about. But I did 8 miles this week. I didn't get to do as much as I wanted to. So I'm going to try to do some more this week. I'm going to get some done today too. So today and tomorrow, if I get some more in, it'll count as, towards this week, it'll be a little bit more. But, yeah, I have been under my calorie goal. I've been at about 1,100 calories each day. That's including days where I ate a little bit more, but then I worked it off through my walk or run. And so I'll show a picture of what my weekly diary entry has looked like. Basically, my go-to food right now has been English muffins with a little bit of butter. When you're deprived of all the wonderful foods that you love, a little bit of butter and bread can change your life. So today was good because I had one of those with just the perfect amount of melted butter. It rocked my world. So then last night I actually decided sometimes when I notice that the scale isn't moving, it was at 169 for a couple days in a row, and that's pretty typical. I don't want it to seem like, oh, I was at a plateau, because I wasn't. It was 3 days, and this is only 2 weeks in. So my point is that sometimes when I get stuck, I attribute it to the fact that I've had the same amount of calories every single day for a prolonged amount of time. Because I know that from the reading and stuff I've done in the past that your metabolism sort of gets a baseline going of she only eats 1,100 calories a day, so we're not going to try to burn off more than what she eats. Does that make sense? So it can kind of get in a groove of knowing what your routine is, and you don't want that. You want your metabolism to always be guessing so that it's just burning excess all the time or whatever, up and down and stuff. So not that every day you should eat horrible, but a couple of times you should eat a little bit higher calories within that time. So last night I decided I was going to go to Panda Express, and I got some Beijing beef and fried rice in a bowl, which was 990 calories, and I left a little bit in it, so I logged it as 970 calories. And then I got on the treadmill and I walked and ran 2 miles, and today was my biggest loss at 0.6 pounds. So it works. I ate at 6:30, so it wasn't super late, and I had been good the rest of the day and drank plenty of water. So, there's a good way and a bad way to do this. You don't want to just eat a crap ton of cookies at 11 o'clock at night. I did eat strawberries too later in the evening, right before bed. So that probably wasn't great, but it didn't hurt me. So every now and then it's good to have a little bit of a higher calorie day, but still not complete junk food. I don't know, I probably wouldn't have done pasta, especially because if you get it at a restaurant, which is what I did, it's usually 13 or 1400 calories, and that's too much for one meal. So yeah, it worked for me. It did what it was supposed to do, and so now I'll go back to being super strict with my calories, and I will probably wait another 2 weeks or so before I do that again. I tend to do it on the weekends just because obviously it's harder when you're with, your family, or you're out doing stuff with friends. Who wants to go home and cook healthy food? So, I usually will use my meal for that. Trying to think if there's anything else really eventful. I did get to go last Saturday to the gym with my husband, so that was kind of nice. I always like to go with somebody. It's kind of unmotivating to go by myself, so I've been doing most of my exercising at home. Just because then I can run as stupidly as I need to and however I look, and I don't have to worry about it. And in public, I kind of have to be aware and be oh, I can't stop the treadmill right now, even though I want to die, because people will judge me. So I'm going to attempt to make a salad at home. Normally, whenever I try to make a salad, it tastes awful. I think when other people make salads, it's always wonderful, but whenever I try, tastes like garbage. So I'm going to try again today, and I'm trying a bunch of random things that I like from the piata salad that I talked about last week. So I have our romaine blend, Kroger brand, because we're poor. I have mozzarella cheese. I don't actually know what they put on theirs. It's like tinier, but cheese is cheese, right? I have raspberry vinaigrette light, and I paid a little extra for the Kraft because it's 30 calories less than the Kroger brand. So they're trying to make me fat, and I don't trust them. I have strawberries because that's in the piata salad. And then I just got a whole rotisserie chicken. I'm not going to put the whole rotisserie in the salad, although smelling it all the way home from the store was quite tempting. And then probably the best part, I'm hoping, is these candied pecans, because that is my favorite part of the piata salad. But they're 200 calories and there's 4 servings in this thing. So this is where the bulk of my calories are going to come from, which is a little depressing, but if they're worth it, it's okay. So I'm going to make my fancy salad, and I'll let you know if it sucks real bad or if it's a success. And if you like salads, great, and you'll probably like it, but I don't normally like salad, so I have to try to trick myself by putting lots of other unsalady things in my salad. So we'll see. I also was going to put avocado in it, but I keep buying avocados and then they keep rotting, so I'm just going to stop buying them. So there's that. So my salad was delicious. I enjoyed every moment of it. It wasn't as good as piata, but it was good, but I am a little bit devastated because I went out of my way to buy these cranberries and glazed walnuts, and I forgot to add them to the salad. But I had the pecans, so it is what it is. But anyway, it was quite good, and overall, I think it's about 450 calories, which is probably a little high for a salad, but it had a bunch of chicken and protein and stuff in it, and I am going to be doing remodeling stuff in my bedroom, and so I'm sure I will burn the calories. I'm not super worried about it, but it was delicious if you want to try to make that on your own. I highly suggest you do that. So when I was on the treadmill walking yesterday, I decided to look up some information about binge eating statistics and things like that. And so I found a couple things from different places, and I just was trying to figure out maybe like what the root cause of it would be. And so the first thing I found was symptoms of it, which was things like that you eat past when you're full, obviously. You eat when you're hungry. You often eat alone or in secret, which I definitely have been known to do. I'm not as ashamed of my eating habits in front of my family, so I do tend to binge in front of them, but like in front of other people, I'll usually act like I don't secretly want to eat 12 more of whatever the thing is in front of me. Another one was eating emotionally, eating when you feel depressed or have guilt, you get guilt over it and stuff like that. There were a couple other things I can't remember. I mean, you can go look up information about it, but it was talking about that having an excess of like 5,000 calories in a meal is definite binging. I don't know. I've never obviously counted, but I know there have been times in the past, especially when I was pushing 250 pounds, that I definitely binged that many calories in a single setting, because I remember eating like half a pan pizza, and the only reason I didn't eat the other half is because my husband was, and then making like a tray of cookies, and then still eating like some fudge Pop-Tarts, and then still eating ice cream like consecutively. It talked about having feelings of not feeling full when you have like a meal or whatever. And then also another one was eating really quickly, which I do. I eat like I have been starved for weeks, and this is the first food that's been in sight in so long. So I try, as I diet, I subconsciously, I guess, was trying to do the opposite of these things. So I try to eat much slower, and I tend to make sure that I like only have whatever amount in front of me, not like the possibility of continuing to shovel food in. Like for instance, if you're eating a bag of chips, like I put it on a plate and then I eat the chips. I don't just take the whole bag and count, because I binge, so I don't. And then it was talking about reasons that these things could happen. It was talking about family traits, which like growing up my whole life, like the people in my household, I mean, we all sort of binged. I mean, there never was really like a limit on what you could eat and when, so I never developed really habits to not do that. And I think that there's definitely some family situations, maybe just that I've learned bad habits from other family members. And so, and I was never corrected. Like, I try to correct that in my children now because I don't want them to learn that, like, eating junk food all the time is a good idea. But then, of course, they see me go through these periods where I shove all kinds of food in my face. So, that was one thing. Another one was psychological, which is basically talking about if you have guilt or shame over your life or your skill sets, things like that. And when I'm not being active and running or doing things that are productive, of course I feel that way. And I also battle with like anxiety and worry, and so my brain will go to some pretty dark places. And so that's probably a big factor in why I tend to medicate myself with food to make me feel better, in addition to medicating myself with medication, which is its own story right now. But I think that I definitely use food as like a coping mechanism for just like having feelings of feeling good. And I know that I can get those same feelings from like going on a jog or losing weight on the scale and things like that. But in the moment, it like when I was talking myself, the reason I didn't start dieting until like January 15th or whenever it was that I started was because I kept telling myself like, oh, tonight's going to be the last meal and tomorrow I'm going to be healthy. Like, but then I would get really depressed and like I felt like I was breaking up with food, and I didn't want to commit to not eating bad again because I was already thinking of like, I'm going to miss meatball subs and I'm going to miss freshly baked cookies at night, and I'm gonna miss giant bowls of cereal, and like I was already like mourning the loss of my food. So it took me a couple weeks to make the decision to finally suck it up and do it. But that's why, like, I honestly thought of food as just the one of the only things that make me feel good in life. And I know that sounds terrible, like I love my family and my children, but like who doesn't love a good taco too, okay? So I struggled a bit with that, and so I'm trying to learn more about this whole binge eating situation because, like, for instance, I talked earlier about that I overate my calories last night on purpose because I wanted to mess with my metabolism, which I'll put in a little thing if I haven't already. And that's a technique used when you're dieting sometimes. So, but I told my husband, like, I'm afraid that my brain is going to associate this with binging and I might not be able to stop. And I was, but had the scale gone up instead of down, I might have been upset enough to talk myself into like, well, this isn't working, and my brain would have just gone on its little rabbit trail, and then I probably would have been binging today. I mean, hopefully not, but that's just the way my mind works. And so I was really nervous last night I'm really nervous anytime that I eat more than like 200 or 300 calories in any given meal or whatever, because it scares me into like, it's almost like, now listen, I'm not a drug addict. I've never been a drug addict, and I'm not trying to compare it to that because I've never been on them and I don't know what it feels like. But in my brain, this is what it must feel like. I feel like if I get a little taste of binging and I remember like how good it feels, that I'm going to want to do it again and again and again. So I get really nervous about that. And so that was the situation that I was faced with last night. So anyway, I'm just throwing all this out there in case somebody else is like me and has problems with binging. My ear's really red. I've been messing with it. Weird. Anyways, so I don't know. Maybe some of that information is helpful, and maybe someone can just relate to me, and I don't know the purpose. I mean, it's not like there's not any kind of, it even said on it, there's not really like a treatment. It said you can seek a medical professional if you really are worried about it, but it also said like there's basically nothing they can do for you. So I don't know about all that, but I'm trying to like replace those feelings with healthier feelings. So that's where I'm at. And so the reason I just wanted to share all that is just that I don't want to give anybody the false impression that like I wake up every day and I'm just like, I'm going to run 1,000 miles and I can eat 2 pecans for the day, and like, that's not my life. I struggle constantly. It's not easy. It gets easier the more time goes on because I'm more devoted to it, but it's still a matter of determination rather than motivation. And so I just want to let people know, like, you can still lose weight. This is going to be my third time losing weight because I keep putting it back on. But, you know, you can still struggle but still be successful. And so that's what I'm trying to put out there, because even though you have bad moments, or even though mentally you maybe aren't doing the best with what's going on, like, all these things are factors, and it's not as simple as just eat less calories and move more. There's a lot of things that go along with it, especially if you've been really big your whole life, or if you've taken your whole life to build these horrible habits, and then you all of a sudden want to change into, like, only eating grilled chicken and green beans. Like, it messes with you in a lot of different ways that you don't think about. And so I'm just trying to get to the realness of it and explain all the different things and the feelings that have come about, throughout this process that I've now done 3 times. So I just wanted to share my take on that, since I was, like, looking it up. And if I find any more information, I'll be sure to share it. Or anybody who wants to message me or something on Facebook or on here, we can hopefully encourage each other. Or, if you need some motivation and some other tips maybe to help you get through it. Like I said, I'm not like the master of anything. I've clearly gained the weight back over and over again. I mean, not as big as I was. I was 250, lost almost 100 pounds, gained 30, lost 30, gained 30, and now I'm going back down 30 again. So it's not like I've mastered everything, but I know some things that work, and it's always going to be a matter of determination, whether or not that morning, that meal, you can wake up and be determined to stick with it and keep going and meet your goals. So anyway, I think that's it. I just wanted to run my mouth. Listen, I had to tack this on the end of this video because even though it's technically day 1 of week 3, I had some exciting revelations today. So when I woke up, I weighed myself and I was down 1.2 pounds, which is 7.7 total in 16 days. And even though that kind of doesn't count for week 2, due to week 2, day 6's eating, that the scale went down. So it still counts. And that was yesterday, which was when I ate that salad. And I kind of thought it was high in calories, but clearly it was working for me because it did the trick. You know what I'm saying? So I was real excited about that and just wanted to let you know that it's technically 7.7 down instead of 6.5, like I said at the beginning of this video. So that was super fun for me, and hopefully in the next week I have just as much progress as I have had in this past week. Actually, most of my progress has been in like 2 days, which is fine for me. But if it keeps on going, shoot, I'll be like 150 by the end of February, so we'll see.